I managed to successfully click 3 buttons. Uh-oh. I'll try to figure out how to fix that.
Susan, your hair looks great.
Why, thank you.
Hello, everyone. We are live from the administrative offices of Turner Hall in beautiful downtown Milwaukee, bringing you the Pericles Project. I'm Ron.
I'm Susan.
And we are here for episodes 7 and 8. But we cannot do it without you. So, Susan, would you please let everybody know how they can participate?
I'm going to pretend I know what I'm talking about. So, we are live streaming on both Facebook and YouTube at the same time because of magic. And there is a commentary section right next to both of the live streams. So please feel free to type in a comment, type in a question, anything. And our wonderful people that are watching those feeds will send them over to us so that we can answer your questions and we can chat with you.
Speaking of those lovely people, a big shout out to Beth Lewinsky, Christy Minussier, and Karen Samuelson, who are waiting now. We have signature cocktails for every episode. Not to give too much away, the name of the first cocktail is the Briefly Happy Couple. It's and there's a recipe for it on the No Holds Barred website. But if you can't find it, look up a peach Bellini.
It's pretty much that, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a non-alcoholic version too.
Oh, it's called the Bridesmaid, and it includes peach juice and grenadine, so probably very tasty.
I'm sure, yeah. So we are going to go into episodes 7 and 8. We'll recap what's happened so far just before then. One of the things that I think is so really cool about 7, which is coming up, this scene, which was the first and I think only one that I directed almost all completely by myself, so it's all my fault. It is a wonderful example of how Shakespeare kind of snuck in some of his own opinions. So, and some themes and things that perhaps were contrary to the time. So it is wooing. You know, our hero Pericles has caught the eye. Could have been the married off to whoever brought the biggest dowry or created the best alliances. But in this play, in Pericles, it's a love match. Her father, the King Simonides, wants her to marry the man that she picks because that's who she falls in love with. That is very, very unusual.
Now, it doesn't hurt that Simonides also falls in love with them, but it is a nice antithesis to the love story that we would have told in Romeo and Juliet had we been doing Shakespeare in the Park.
True. So, yeah. That's one of the things I think is really super cool about this. It's also one of the most lighthearted, and we have our opportunities to connect directly with our actors, directly with you. Through I think there's a lot of direct address in this one, more so than others.
Yeah. So as Shakespeare used asides for actors to be able to directly share their thoughts with the audience, doing stuff in film gives you a very different opportunity to do that, but we were able to take advantage of it in episode 7. So keep an eye open for those moments of directly addressing the audience.
And speaking of, we do have cheat notes, so that's why we're looking down like, there's my script, because I'm not off book, right? And if I'm looking over here, it's because that's where the control panel is, to go to the next thing, and I want to go to the next thing at a appropriate
I'm
time.
looking down because I can't find my Bellini.
So, would you recap episodes 1 through 6 really quickly, and let's just get into it, okay?
Well, we can. We start at the beginning of the play with a poet named Gower, and the whole story that we're telling in Pericles is kind of a story within his story. So it is...
Are you going to go... Is this a rabbit hole thing?
Yes, I'm sorry, I'm out.
Okay,
Put it this way.
All
it's
right.
very meta, and we start with Gower. Then Pericles goes to Antioch because he wants to seek the hand of the daughter of Antiochus. Now, when he's there, he finds out that Antiochus and his daughter are having an incestuous relationship because he was smart enough to figure out a riddle. Pericles decides he doesn't want to be part of that. He heads back to Tyre, all right. There's a murderer, Thalyard, who's going after him. Pericles gets back to Tyre. Helicanus, who is his advisor, says, "Get out of here. They're sending murderers." Sure enough, he leaves, and Thalyard shows up in Tarsus, but there's no Pericles there. Then, Pericles lands in Tarsus, which is having some problems. There's the governor of Cleon and his wife Dionysa.
Everybody is starving, and so he feeds them, and then he leaves on for the rest of his adventures, and he gets into a shipwreck. And these fishermen on the beach of Pentapolis say, "Hey, this is not a bad place. You should go and check out our king, King Simonides." And he thought, "King Simonides, you must really like him. You call him good king. And you know what? I'm a prince. I'm trying to learn how to be a good king. I'm going to go to Pentapolis and tourney for the lady."
Exactly. Two particular notes that I want to throw in, actually three. When he's leaving Tarsus, it's possible that Dionysa gives Pericles a little bit of an eye. I want to mention also that one of the fishermen is particularly handsome. Now we've gotten to Pentapolis, and there's the tournament. And if you have not seen the last couple episodes, please go back and look at them, because the tournament is quite something. And by something, I mean ridiculous.
I loved it.
But still dramatically important. So Pericles enters the competition. He wins. He gets Thaisa, Simonides' daughter, to pay attention to him, and she is fascinated by him. What happens next for our hero?
Yeah.
Stay tuned and find out.
We're going to find out. And if you've seen our Pericles, you know why he's kind of fascinating. So anyway, now that we've caught up, let's go on and see episode 7.
Know this of me. Antiochus from incest lived not free. A fire from heaven came and shriveled up their bodies even to loathing.
Our Helicanus, a word.
With me?
Wrong not yourself then, noble Helicanus. If the prince do live, let us salute him, or know what grounds made happy by his breath. So, knowing the kingdom is without a head, like goodly buildings left without a roof soon fall to ruin, your noble self, that best know how to rule and how to reign, we thus submit unto our sovereign. Live, noble Helicanus!
So they are well dispatched. Now to my daughter's letter. She tells me here she'd wed the stranger knight, or never more to view nor day nor light. Oh, 'tis well, mistress, your choice agrees with mine. I like that well. Nay, how absolute she's in it, not minding whether I dislike or no. Well, I do commend her choice, and will no longer have it be delayed. Soft. Here he comes. I must dissemble it.
All fortunes to the good Simonides.
To you as much, sir. Let me ask you one thing. What do you think of my daughter, sir?
A most virtuous princess.
And fair, too, is she not?
It's fair day in summer. Wondrous fair.
Sir, my daughter thinks very well of you, aye, so well that You must be her master, and she will be your scholar. Therefore, look to it.
I'm unworthy of her schoolmaster.
She thinks not so. Peruse the writing else.
What's here? A letter. She loves the Knight of Tyre. 'Tis the king's subtlety to have my life. Seek not to entrap me, gracious lord. A stranger and distressed gentleman that never aimed so high to love your daughter, but bent all offices to honor her.
Thou hast bewitched my daughter, and thou art a villain.
By the gods, I have not!
Traitor, thou liest.
Traitor?
Aye, traitor.
Even in his throat. Unless it be the king that calls me a traitor, I return the lie.
By the gods, I do applaud his courage.
My actions are as noble as my thoughts. I came unto your court for honor's cause, not to be a rebel to her state. And he that otherwise accounts of me, this sword shall be honor's enemy.
No, here comes my daughter. She can witness it.
Then as virtuous as you are fair, resolve your angry father if my tongue did e'er solicit, or my hand subscribe to any syllable that made love to you.
Why, sir? Say if you had. Who taketh offense at that would make me glad?
Yea, mistress. Are you so peremptory? I'm glad in it with all my heart. I'll tame you, I'll bring you in subjection. Will you, not having my consent, bestow your love and your affection upon a stranger, who for aught I know may be, nor can I think the contrary, as great in blood as I myself? Therefore hear you, mistress. Either frame your will to mine, and you, sir, hear you. Either be ruled by me, or I will make you man and wife. Nay, come, your hands and lips must seal it too, and being joined, God give you joy. What, are you both pleased?
Yes. If you love me, sir.
Even as my life, or blood that fosters.
Yes.
If it pleaseth your majesty.
It pleaseth me so well that I will see you wed. And then with what haste you can get you to bed.
Sleety Slick hath rout, no dimber sores the house about, made louder by the o'er-felt breasts of the most pompous marriage feast. Hymen hath brought thy bride to bed, where by the loss of a maidenhead a babe is molded. Be it end, and time that is so briefly spent with your fine fancies quaintly each, what's dumb in show are plain in speech. A million pain first, Pericles, careful search is made with all due diligence. The horse and sail and high expense can steed the quest. At last from Tyre, fame answering the most strange wire. To the court of King Simonides, others brought to these. Antiochus and his daughter dead. The men of Tyre are ahead of Helicanus would set on crown of Tyre. But she none, the mutiny she there has oppressed, she says to him, if King Pericles come not home in twice 6 moons, she, obedient to their doom, will take the crown. In brief, he must depart to Tyre. His queen with child makes her dire, which who shall cross. Long to go, amid all their dull and woe. Locorda, her nurse she takes, and to sea. The vessel shakes on Neptune's blow. The grisly north disgorges such a tempest for it. And what ensues in fell storm shall for itself perform.
Hey! Woohoo!
Did
I love
not
that
see
scene.
that coming.
Did not see. Hey, a spit take. It is classic. Thank you for recognizing that, David.
So, special thanks to Lex Allen, who was our gower in the meta part of the last episode.
Yeah.
We love hearing your comments. We would love to try to answer your questions. So if you're on Facebook or YouTube, you'll have an opportunity to share those with us. And Susan, would you please share our cocktails for episode 8?
Every single one has a different cocktail, and we try not to give away too much about what's going on. But the cocktail for episode 8 is the empty coffin. But it's a coffee drink. It's a coffee drink. So just focus on the coffee part.
If we had time for Susan to explain this, it's really funny.
And the non-alcoholic one is the chocolate mint pat tea. Also tasty.
Do we have permission to be here?
Yeah.
Okay, shout out to the Milwaukee Turners for letting us use the space for the broadcast today. And speaking of spaces, we had a lot of fascinating challenges putting the Pericles Project together. And episode 7, which you just saw, and episode 8, which you're about to, were particularly generous with the challenges they presented. Starting with the location for the last episode, we found out at a fairly late point that we were not to be filming in the Milwaukee County parks. And so we needed a location. And if I'm not mistaken, the day before we started shooting, Tom Reed called Max Sampson and Nancy Pinter and said, hey, you guys have a yard and some water. Can we use your place? And Max and Nancy, who are huge supporters of Shakespeare in the Park, the Pericles Project, and a whole lot of other incredible stuff in the city of Milwaukee, said yes. And then we got there and they fed us. So
I know. There
was like challenges and
hot muffins and stuff. Oh, and then it was another month later. No, it was like 2 months later before we were able to film the rest of the scenes.
Right.
And so we had to be very, very clever on what direction and how we blocked this so that you couldn't tell that those trees in the earlier parts of the very same scene no longer had leaves on them.
Now, we were missing colleagues Tom Reed and ML Kogar for quite a bit of work because of an emergency we didn't see coming up, and I don't want to give details, but I do want to assure everybody that Tom's colon is just fine now.
Right.
When it was about time to
It's not
shoot,
TMI at all.
so when it was about time to shoot
Text from
episode
Tom
7,
okay,
when it was time to shoot
Oh,
episode 7, I was going to be involved. I was going to be directing it. and I wasn't able to because the day before I'd had a fall and shattered my ankle and my wrist, and that put me out of commission for almost the rest of the the actual shooting.
But what Ron and Tom don't know is that I actually poisoned them and pushed him off the ladder so that I could direct that whole thing.
Well, good. It was well worth it because you did a nice job.
Except for the Lex part, which was totally Tom. Beautiful, beautiful job.
That was
beautiful job. Okay, we need to go on to episode 8, but there is a cool thing we want to tell you about episode 8. You want to do it after or before?
Let's do it after.
Let's do it after so you can see it. You can see it.
And let's go
roll
to
8.
episode 8.
Thou gods of this great vast, rebuke these surges which wash both heaven and hell. And thou that hast upon this wind's commands are still thy deafening and dreadful thunder. La Corda, how does my queen? La Corda!
Here is a thing too young for such a place. Who, if it had conceit, would die, as I am like to do. Take in your arms this piece of your dead queen.
How? How, La Corda?
Patience, good sir. Do not assist the storm. Here's all that's left living of your queen, a little daughter. For the sake of it, be manly and take comfort.
You gods, why do you make us love your goodly gifts and snatch them straight away? How mild may be thy life. For a more boisterous birth had never been. Oh, shh. Quiet and gentle thy conditions. Happy with others. Thou hast as chiding amidst meteors. Fire, air, water, earth, and heaven can make.
What courage, sir! God save you!
Shh! Courage enough. I do not fear the flaw. It hath done to me the worst. Yet for the love of this poor infant, this fresh new seafarer, I would it would be quiet.
Sir, your queen must overboard. The sea works high, the wind is loud, and will not lie till the ship be cleared of the dead.
That's your superstition.
Pardon us, sir, we are strong in custom. Therefore briefly yield her, for she must overboard straight.
As you think meet.
Sir, we have a chest, cocked and ready.
I thank thee. Mariner, say, what coast is this?
We are near Tarsus.
Oh, make for Tarsus. There, I'll visit Cleon, for the babe cannot hold out to Tyre. There I'll leave it. Be careful nursing. terrible child that thou had, my dear. The light, the fire, unfriendly elements have forgot thee utterly. Nor have I time to give thee hallowed to thy grave, but straight must cast thee scarcely coffin into the ooze. Porta, bid Nestor bring me spices, ink, and paper. Will send her with my jewels. Suddenly, woman.
Fill him a hole!
Doth my lady call?
Get fire and meat for these poor men. 'Tis been a turbulent and stormy night. And give this to the apothecary. Tell me how it works.
I have been in many storms, but such a night as this, till now, I ne'er endured.
So, lift here.
Let's look on it.
'Tis like a coffin, ma'am.
Wrench it open. Soft. It smells most sweetly in my sense.
Delicate odor.
What's here? A cold shrouded glass of state, bombed and entreasured with full bags of spices. A passport, too. Here I give to understand, if ere this coffin drive a land, I, King Pericles, have lost his queen, worth all our mundane cost. Who finds her, give her burying, she was the daughter of a king. Besides this treasure for a fee, the gods requite his charity. If thou livest, Pericles, thou hast a heart that even cracks for woe. This chance tonight.
Most likely, ma'am.
Nay, certainly tonight. For look how fresh she looks. They were too rough that threw her in the sea. I heard of an Egyptian that had 9 hours lain dead, who was by good appliance recovered. I pray you give her air, gentlemen. This queen will live. Nature awakes. A warmth breathes out of her. See how she begins to blow into life's flower again. She is alive. Live and make us weep to hear your fate, fair creature, rare as you seem to be.
Oh, dear Diana. Where am I? Where's my lord? What world is this?
Is not this strange? Most rare.
Hush, my gentle neighbors. Lend me your hands.
I don't know if this is appropriate to say or not, but that woman at the back of the ambulance was smoking hot.
Thank you. I've never been, in a graphic novel before. The artist.
Why, thank you. So we talked about challenges. We were set to film the second part of episode 8, and COVID restrictions became stronger, and people became more concerned to the point where we didn't want to risk anyone's safety.
And that's a basic for how we went about filming this. It was whatever the restrictions were at the time, plus some, is how we approached this. And so
each of the actors, voice actors, got in their car, drove to Alverno College, and parked in a circle facing toward the middle of the circle. ML Kogar stood in the middle of the circle. The actors had microphones on. Jim DeCook, who is our DP and editor, got the sound down. So ML directed the voices for this with individual actors in their cars in the middle of the Alverno parking lot. And
it was freezing, and we were very, very safe, and it was quite a unique experience. So, Ron, how many illustrations did you end up drawing? He hand drew those. He drew those.
I drew somewhere in the neighborhood of 87, but a lot of them were crap, and we ended up using I think 36 of them.
Awesome. So I want to make sure that we get yes, thank you all for your shout outs about Max and Nancy. They are amazing. Yes, and Alice, I'm very glad that you are no longer concerned about Tom's colon. He's happy about that too. Thanks.
And shout out to Nick Reed for the clouds in the first part of episode 8.
Oh, yeah.
It's made it so much easier for us to believe we were on board a ship.
Mm-hmm. Well, the illustrated episode wasn't, or the segment wasn't just to make that scene happen. We'd planned all along that we were going to insert some illustrations or some alternate forms of storytelling, which will be coming up in a couple of more episodes, some other things that will be coming up a little bit later. So keep tuning in. So what else? I think that might be it.
I think that's it.
That's about close to it. So, no holds barred, Shakespeare in the Park. Fingers crossed for summer, but man, we're having a good time with this. So, free to see, free to do, and way not free to produce. So if you do feel like throwing in a dollar or two, we'd sincerely appreciate it. Just go to noholdsbarred.org or optimisttheater.org. Whatever.
Ultimately, if you give a few bucks to anything that's a .org, you're probably helping someone somewhere.
All right.
And in the meantime, to find out what happens next in the adventures of Pericles, Prince of Tyre, stay tuned.